To create a work of art is really to commit yourself to something that isn't strictly necessary. In fact, you could say that art itself is a commitment to the unnecessary. No one needs a painting or a novel. Society does continue without it. It doesn't directly feed, clothe, and house people. Most of the time. This video is really my attempt to explore a very common question about art, which is, what is art versus what isn't? I started off with that little definition that it's a commitment to the unnecessary, because I think that's pretty solid. It sounds like the bar for what is art and what isn't really is pretty low, and I do think it is low. So we'll substitute another working definition. This one comes from Frank Zappa. I think it's the best working definition we've got so far. And what he said is that art becomes art the instant the creator declares it so. You put a frame around it. That's just the easiest way to think about it. His example was if someone's drinking, someone drinks carrot juice and then records it and then declares that recording their composition, that recording becomes art. Without that frame around it, it's just a guy drinking carrot juice. So the frame makes all the difference. What that means in practice is that when someone tells you something isn't art, what they're really saying is that it didn't really move them, which is totally valid. You're allowed to be unmoved by things. It's a personal report, it's not a final verdict. The only person with the actual authority to declare what is art and what isn't is the person who made it. Does a writer consider their shopping list art? Probably not. Most people wouldn't consider a shopping list art, but what if an artist, a collage artist, uses a piece of a discarded shopping list in a collage and declares it art? Then it becomes so. Once again, that's how simple the mechanism is. The frame is everything. Just because you declare something art doesn't automatically mean it's going on the wall or selling for 6 figures or someone will do a piece about it in the New York Times. The definition we've got just establishes the minimum viable conditions for something to be art, and that is entirely internal to the creator. Getting back to our original statement, a full commitment to a completely unnecessary idea is what characterizes all art. I made this odd thing, and the making of it was the point. Compare that to, the businessman or entrepreneur, government agent or politician, Their commitment is to the necessary, to solving a problem, meeting a need, channeling resources, producing something with a measurable output and a justifiable existence. That's a completely legitimate mode of operating in the world. It's just a different one. Art doesn't solve practical problems. And when it does, it's kind of incidental. A piece of music can comfort someone in grief, but that's not why the composer wrote it, typically, unless you are doing programmatic music, labeling it, adding lyrics, forcing a point. Most instrumental music is, from classical and a lot of more modern improvisational jazz, is the music speaks for itself. A novel can change someone's mind about something important, but a novel itself is such a huge work that is probably not the sole point, and people who create novels for pushing a sole point, the novels tend not to be very good or do very well unless it happens to be very briefly in line with the approved zeitgeist of the moment, and even then that's a very temporary and fleeting influence upon the world. The artist doesn't really know what effect their work is going to have on the world. The work is prior to its effects. The piece exists before what it's known for. And yet, an entire practice exists for judging art. The only real approved way we have of judging art is this kind of academic way, the same way we judge a chemistry experiment, which has always struck me as a little odd. Despite the oddity of that, academia has committed to this with impressive dedication. Huge university departments, buildings, professors, conferences, peer-reviewed journals devoted entirely to studying things people completely made up, like an English department. The art department just studies about people who make unnecessary messes. Or you kind of take both and you have a theater department. They make a mess and wear the mess and parade that in front of people. It's always struck me as odd that we put that under the same roof as like chemistry and mathematics and biology and such. You could actually argue that that's sort of a very sneaky way for the spirit of art to manifest its absurdity. The fact that we dedicate ourselves to this academic thing which is totally unacademic in every way. And this attempt to find rigorous criteria for judging art is a very human and slightly absurd creative act as well. There's ultimately no valid criteria for judging art that applies across all times and all categories. What moves one person leaves another completely unmoved, and both responses are totally legitimate. Neither tells you anything definitive about the work itself. And a lot of times people remain unmoved by art because they don't really study it. You know, the vast majority of people are kind of ignore classical music, and it all sounds the same to them. It's just this background noise here and there. Whereas someone who is deeply immersed in classical music can instantly tell the difference between something from the Baroque period, the Romantic period, or the contemporary period, or a piece written in the style of those periods. To someone outside the world, it's identical. Neither person is wrong. They're just in different relationships to the same material. And a lot of times when we're trying to talk about art and its seemingly nonsensical nature, irrelevance to contemporary society, people, they try and sort of do this awkward bent over backwards pivoting argument to show that it actually is the most necessary thing to humanity, which I kind of, just on the sheer evidence that every culture independently developed it. I'm gonna decline gently to make that argument, not because it isn't true to some extent. The moment we start trying to justify art in the same breadth as, like, infrastructure and plumbing and stuff, we've already conceded something that we don't need to concede. Creative art predates all of our history that we have, and people will still continue to make art even if all the means of recording it fails. It doesn't need to justify its existence to the economy because it was here before the economy and it will be here after. That's not a small thing. In a world that is very insistent on everything having a use, this practice that cheerfully and blatantly refuses to have a use is doing something quietly radical just by continuing to exist. And that's where the real value is, not in what art produces or proves or contributes or, philosophically justifies, but in what it represents. This commitment to the thoroughly unnecessary in a species such as ourselves, which has so differentiated us from the animals and plants by engaging in all this technology and invention. The fact that a lot of us still do these completely impractical things for the sheer joy of it is worth attention. Nobody needs it. We keep doing it anyway. If you are someone who makes unnecessary things and occasionally wonders why, I hope this is useful. Feel free to leave a comment about whatever unnecessary thing you're currently committed to. I have comics available on my website that are all linked here. And until next time, make something nobody asked for. Thanks.